Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're digging into bad spells. Spells that just don't quite work the way you'd hope they would, or that can be replicated with non-magical effects. Spells that just kind of make you go, eh, you know? And today we're talking about a class that really leans into their spells, the Warlock. Today we're actually talking about Cantrips, which is especially important for Warlocks, because Warlocks use their cantrips above all else. Yes, they love to use their spells and take their short rests, but a lot of the time a Warlock's gonna be Eldritch Blasting. And don't worry, Eldritch Blast is not on this list. Eldritch Blast is an amazing spell. What we're talking about are the 5 worst cantrips that I recommend all Warlocks avoid in D&D. Before we get to the list, though, I'd like to let you know, Relax Fantasy Review has memberships, and for just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a badge in your name next to your name in the comments, showing folks that you're a supporter and earning you my undying gratitude, as well as you get early access to my videos. I upload my videos every other day, and have been for years. Now I'm uploading my videos a day before my normal schedule, and my members get to see them during this time. If you can't afford to support the channel, don't worry, I'm not changing my upload schedule. You're gonna get the videos exactly the same as you have forever, but if you'd like to support, you can get that extra day early, and just supporting me on YouTube would be really, really cool. If you can't, thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting just by being here. I appreciate you. So, Warlock cantrips. Let's start with True Strike. This is the famous poster child of bad cantrips, and yeah, Warlocks can pick it. You designate a creature, and you cast this cantrip, and you gain insight into their defenses, granting you advantage on your first attack on the next turn. Notice it says, on the next turn. This means that you're spending your action, and you're basically your whole turn, granting yourself advantage on the next turn. So instead of just attacking on turn 1 and then attacking again on turn 2 without advantage, now you're attacking once with advantage. Mathematically speaking, this is just a poor decision. You're almost always going to be better off attacking twice than attacking once, even with advantage. It just doesn't make up for it. And some people have said, well, what if I can bonus action True Strike and then attack with my action? Yeah, no, that doesn't work, because if you attack the same turn you use True Strike, you don't get advantage on that attack. It's the next turn. It's very specific, not the next attack. True Strike mechanically is just broken and doesn't work right. And therefore, it's not a good spell. I know they're doing something new with it in the upcoming D&D, 1 D&D, but we're talking about 5e here, and 5e True Strike just doesn't work. Another one that doesn't quite work the way you'd hope is Blade Ward. Now, Blade Ward actually does what it says on the tin. You cast it as an action, and until the end of your next turn, you have resistance against bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which is just Barbarian's Rage, except for a turn. That's cool, right? Well, is it though? You're spending an action, gaining resistance to damage. So you would use this in a situation where you had to defend yourself. But there's another option, and it doesn't require taking a cantrip or casting a spell. It's just called dodging. See, the dodge action is a common combat action that you don't have to be a caster. Anyone can take the dodge action, any character. With your action, you give disadvantage to anyone who tries to attack you until your next turn. So, yeah, that's better than getting resistance. So, you know what hurts you less than an attack that you have resistance against? An attack that misses you entirely. I wouldn't cast Blade Ward. I would just dodge. Now, if you have a way to cast Blade Ward as a bonus action, there's a couple ways you could do this. Earth Genasi can do it. But then maybe it would be worth it. But it still feels like a hard sell from me. I just don't think it's really, really that good. And if you have to use your action, I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't go there. Now, There are other spells here, and not every Warlock wants to Eldritch Blast all the time. Sometimes they want to do other attacks. Enter the cantrip Infestation. Infestation is a weird one because it's broken in multiple ways. First of all, when you cast it, the creature makes a Constitution saving throw. This is a hard saving throw to target because most creatures have good constitutions. And if they succeed, they take no damage and nothing happens to them. Secondly, if they fail the Constitution save, they take 1d6 damage. That's a lot less than most other cantrips. And it's poison damage. Poison damage which most creatures are resistant to. You know what they're not resistant to? Force damage. That's what Eldritch Blast does. Finally, Infestation moves creatures. When they fail their con save, you get to move them 5 feet in a direction, north, south, east, or west. However, you don't get to choose the direction. You have to roll a d4, which means if you're trying to push them off a cliff or into a hazard, you have a chance to do that, but you also have a chance to move them away from the hazard, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do. You know what cantrip can move creatures reliably? Eldritch Blast. If you take the Forceful Blast or Repelling Blast invocation, you can push creatures without a saving throw. It's awesome. I don't know why anyone would take Infestation, but least of all a Warlock. There's so many better choices if you wanted to have a cantrip that pushes people around the battlefield and does reliable damage. Speaking about reliable damage, there is a cantrip that a Warlock might mistake for better than Eldritch Blast. Poison Spray. Now, why do I say that? At first glance, Poison Spray is like, oh look, this spell does 1d12 damage. Eldritch Blast only does 1d10. Now, 2 problems with that. First of all, again, the creature makes a saving throw to avoid the damage, as opposed to an attack, which Eldritch Blast is. Second, the range is only 10 feet. And thirdly, it's still poison damage, which is often resisted, or just straight out immuned. Immuned? Creatures are immune to it, which means that it's not good. Yeah, the d12 gives you 1 extra damage on average. A d10 averages to 5.5. A d12 averages to 6.5. But that's just not worth it. It's not worth it considering that it could be resisted, it could not hit, it has a 10-foot reach. There's just so many things wrong with this spell. I say, no one should take Poison Spray. Again, least of all Warlocks. The final spell we're going to discuss is the Friends cantrip. This one actually looks kind of cool. You cast the spell, designate a creature, and with your concentration for the next minute, you have advantage on all your charisma checks against that creature, so you can charm them really easily. The spell lasts for 1 minute, and when the spell ends, the creature knows it was charmed by you. This is very similar to Charm Person, except there's one key distinction. Charm Person says that the creature knows it was charmed by you and may become hostile. There's an option for you to talk your way out of it. With Friends, it doesn't work that way. Friends, it says that the creature knows it was charmed by you and does become hostile. It's not a choice. It's in the rules that that's just what happens, which is kind of the opposite of what the cantrip promises. Cantrip promises a friend. Instead, you've just guaranteed you have a new enemy. That's not good, unless that's what you're going for, unless you're trying to make people mad. But if you're trying to make people mad, go up and punch them. You don't need to use a cantrip to charm them into doing something, and then a minute later, a minute, by the way, is not a very long time. A minute later, now they're just angry at you? Why? This makes no sense whatsoever, and I do not understand why. It doesn't even charm the creature. This isn't a charm effect. You just have advantage on your charisma checks. That doesn't mean much if you still are failing the checks, or if the creature's hostile to you. It's just a no. Friends doesn't do what you want it to do, in fact does the opposite. And that's the vibe with all these 5 cantrips. They just feel either lackluster in their power, or they just don't do what you want them to do, really. If you really want some good cantrips, I've got a whole video about what the good cantrips are, but these are not it. Avoid these cantrips. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, and keep your eyes peeled for more bad spell reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.